Saturday, January 25th, 11:27 a.m. He texted me. I texted at the movies. What up? Just found out about Justin. Wanted to talk. So I shut my phone off, and I watched The Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug, which was a pretty good movie. It was. I dreaded seeing it. I thought it was going to be a drag because the first one was kind of drag. It was pretty good. And then I get out of the movie theaters. I'm like, well, I know a couple of Justins. Obviously, I know JewWario Justin, and another one maybe randomly. And just said, just found out about Justin. I don't know what he was talking about. I thought maybe Justin joined a new website or whatever else. And he just basically said, JewWario shot himself. He's gone. And I was just like, it's a fucking joke? You know, like, is this, like, what's going on? Because, you know, fucking The Hobbit's like 3 hours long. So, like, that's, for the internet world, that's a long amount of time to be away from it. And so I come out. And I'm just looking at my phone like, what? So I check Twitter, and all of a sudden I see all this stuff posted, like, rest in peace, Justin. And then Joey gives me a call, Joey Rue, from Clan of the Grey Wolf Retroware, and he's like, yeah, Justin passed away. Are you okay and everything? I missed messages.
I tried calling you, I think, when you were in the theater. I didn't realize we were jumping into this topic immediately.
Well, that's why, you know, I hate to say it was funny, but, you know, that's why I was checking the text. I wanted to give you the back stuff, how I found out. But, yeah, Justin's gone. I'm not sure. I wrote a little piece on my website about it, and I'm not entirely sure what you could say that everyone else hasn't said, and that's exactly what I wrote about Justin. I've known Justin since late 2010. I remember we talked about it. We weren't exactly sure when exactly it was that I started talking, but it was late 2010, and I forget how. I remember he used to do these live streams 2 or 3 times a week for his fans, and he did them for a couple of years, about 2.5 years he did them, and I would join every now and then and be a moderator and sometimes Skype in with them. And so we met from that. He was familiar with my work, I was familiar with his from That Guy with the Glasses, because on That Guy with the Glasses, there wasn't really that much video game content, and he was doing import game reviews, which no one really did. So we communicated that way. MagFest 2011, we kind of met for the first time in person. He interviewed me late 2010 for his stream. We talked for like an hour and a half. And the thing about it, I posted on my website, is that the thing about Justin, which made him special, is that he always made you feel like you were like part of his inner circle, even if he just met you. And you had just met him at MagFest for the first time a month ago.
I'll talk about that.
And you can attest to that. That Justin was he wasn't pretentious at all. There was no sort of reservations about him. I'm a pretty intuitive person when it comes to like personality types, and I know when people are bullshitting. And with Justin, it never really occurred to me for even to think that, wow, is this guy putting on a front, or is he fake? He's really a devious person being this nice. No, he was just that nice. There was no facade there about him being, you know, that nice a person. That's who he is. That's who he was. So I mean, we sort of, you know, in 2011 is when I really hung out with him at MagFest 2011. I hung out with him a lot at E3 June 2011, and there's a video of that, a part of that online, my E3 coverage. It's like the day 3 recap part where we kind of got to know each other a little bit, and then he invited me and Joey, and we went out to the there's this Asian mall in Little Tokyo with the Japan arcade. And he showed us that. We had Japanese food. We sort of made a tradition after that for the next 3 MagFest, 11, 12, and 2013. We would go there the last night, go to the Japan arcade, and hang out and have fun. And he was hanging out with his friend Mark, who's also known as Psychotaku online, was one of his best friends.
MagFests or
E3. We made a tradition at the E3 to go to Japan arcade. And so we would hang out with Mark, Psychotaku. He would introduce us to his world. And that's who Justin was. He just wanted, through his videos, he wanted to like share his world and share what he loved with everyone and bring him in. It's weird because that same Mark, Psychotaku, he texted me. I don't know if I'm giving away too much, but it can segue into, I guess, what the issue is here. Is that like Mark texted me saying like, you knew more about what was going on with Justin than most people, which I texted back. I said, I don't even know if that's even true, because like, I mean, I talked to Justin on the phone probably every other month for about a year and a half when I was the director of content for Retroware, which was about a year and a half. That was about early 2012 to mid 2013. And yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about what was going on with his life, job stuff, what he had planned. He told me a lot about his Kamen Rider, Family Kamen Rider series, which I told you about. You were kind of jealous of that he was making this.
Great idea.
Yeah, like a Power Rangers type of show, costume heroes, and he actually asked me to be a part of it. And I was flattered. It was like came out of nowhere. I guess because I sort of got him in with the Retroware guys. I helped get him onto Retroware. After he kind of he was on Retroware, and that got lasted for a while, and then he was just on Retroware, and I helped him get in there. And then he sort of came into the family, I guess the fold. It was really MagFest 2012. He hung out with everyone at Retro for the first time, and he had a great time with everyone. He was drinking it up. There's tons of pictures online. People are posting all their tribute videos where all of us are like hugging. He's gonna hopefully not give away too much. James Rolfe, who wrote a great piece about Justin, and he never even met Justin. He was even broken up at the news of Justin's death. I totally forgot. I got a bunch of Retro guys in with James to shoot cameos for his movie, and Justin is going to be in the movie. James on his site said Justin had great comedic timing with his little part he did, and so he's going to probably appear. So I'm kind of rambling, a lot of thoughts coming out, but I don't know if you want to say a little about Justin. You were shaken up probably more than me. I have a weird way of grieving with things, but if you want to give some thoughts,
I'm not going to say anything really that no one else has said, but yeah I'm going to talk about it because I haven't. I found out about Justin's passing, and it hit me harder than I felt like it had the right to hit me. So I stayed fairly quiet. Said a couple things, and left it at that initially, because I knew we would talk about it eventually.
Sure.
My first time meeting Justin was MagFest, the most recent one, MagFest 12, 2013. 14. And what struck me about Justin is what strikes everyone about Justin is that he's very friendly. When we were all hanging out at the Retroware booth, I saw Justin. I looked at him and I thought to myself, I've got to introduce myself to him. Just say hi. And Justin, someone who had countless more fans than I did, who had done far more than I ever have on the internet. I mean, I don't do anything really besides this. Came over and introduced himself to me. Said he enjoyed what I did, enjoyed the podcast, and went out of his way to introduce himself to me. And I spent the next 4 days talking with Justin quite a bit, and I got along with him very well. And we went to the Screenwave party, and we had some food.
On Friday night.
And we're standing around and we're joking. And he goes, he's like, I could really use your help. He's like, I've got this pub quiz that I'm doing. He's like, and I don't have enough people. He's like, I don't think I've got enough people. He's like, I think you're pretty funny and I get along with you. He's like, I know I've just mentioned you, but can I use you as a host? Not a host, but a table captain, basically. Mm-hmm. I said, yeah, sure, I'd be happy to. So, I went and did it, and that was a marathon. And watching him do that was impressive because it took a lot out of him. And he was just so very thankful that I showed up and that I did that. And I don't know if it was because he didn't know me or if he was just very thankful or what, but he was just... Words don't really... you can't convey how friendly he was. But my favorite moment with Justin was... It was Sunday morning. We were getting ready to leave. Mm-hmm. I'd been up drinking whiskey and talking life with Billy from the Game Chasers until probably 7 in the morning.
Wow. Yeah.
7:30 in the morning.
You did tell me about that.
Yeah. And we watched Shane's Home Alone review.
Which was pretty good.
It's a good one. And I had, come down, and when I'm nervous around people, I get a little silly. So, I had just met all these people at MagFest, and if I like you and I feel comfortable around you, but I don't know, you're going to get pet names really quick, right? So I walk down to the Mag. I leave the hotel room after you guys do. I get down to the
Sure.
Retro booth before you guys do. And it's just Justin chilling there with some buttons, like pins. I walk around the booth and I say, morning, gorgeous, what's going on? And he laughs and just looks. He's like, I'm just
You said
Hey,
gorgeous to you?
No, I said that to him.
Oh, okay.
I said that to him, and he laughs, and he goes, you know, did I give you a button? And I said, no.
One of his...
And he gave me one of his little cat girl army buttons. I said, thanks. And he goes, yeah, I noticed you had a lot of buttons on your bag. And I said, I like buttons a lot. I've got some buttons too. And I gave him some buttons. And I asked him, I said, where did you get your buttons made? He goes, oh, I make them.
Mm-hmm.
I go, really? I said, that's awesome. I said, that's something that I want to get into. And he goes, well, you know, I've got this little button maker here that I bring around with me. He's like, it's not the best quality. He goes, but, you know, there's people who want to say hi to him. It's Sunday morning. We're trying to pack up and go. He goes, let me show you how it works, just so you kind of got an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And he took me aside, and he sat me down, and he just, without me asking or anything, like it was no skin off his back, sat there and took 10 minutes and showed me all of his cutouts and asked me if I had played, you know, The World Ends With You, which is a DS game that, you know, is well regarded. I didn't, and he was like, I said, but my girlfriend might know it. And I said, these button designs are really cute. And he's like, well, pick a couple for your girlfriend. So I picked, you know, 2 that I thought Vonnie would like. And we talked, and he showed me how to make it. And he told me all about it. And he left me with, like, something that I gathered that he was really good at that I admire. Because I'm not. I'm long-winded. He's really good at conveying a great amount of information in a short time span. He was just so fluid at getting across the key points to something, which is probably why he did so well with series like Let's Play and You Can Play This and the one where he made all the different dishes and all that stuff.
Sure.
Because he knows how to deliver this information snappily, but in a way that makes you feel comfortable and welcome.
Sure.
And I remember we packed everything up, and him and I helped Joey get some boxes out to his car. And we said goodbye to Justin. Justin said goodbye to everyone. He was like asking when he was going to see everyone again next. And he looked at me and he said, am I going to see you at any future conventions? And I said, I don't know. I said, but I'd like to, you know, hang out with you again if we do. And he said, I'd like that too. And that was the last thing I ever said to Justin. And when I found out, and I'm already getting a little emotional, but when I found out, I cried. And I cried not because not for the reasons that most people cry when they find that someone they care about has passed. People cry because they think about all the good times in the past, and they think about what was taken from them. They think about the history they had with that person. I thought about the history I couldn't.
The history that might have been.
I couldn't have with him. And here's a guy that, for all I know, I could have become close to. Like, I liked him. I got along with him, and he's fucking gone, and it sucks. And look, I'm not going to ramble any longer, and this is kind of jumping things, but I just want to say something real quick. No one on the internet, a lot of people don't want to attribute his death immediately to things like depression. But, and I'm not trying to say anything controversial, but a lot of suicides, and I'd wager most, stem from something like depression. And it has a stigma that people can't shake.
Sure.
Look, please, if you don't feel well, if something is wrong, talk to someone. And you don't have to want to take medication. And I'm getting upset about it because this is, believe me, when I say this is not an outsider looking in, this is an insider telling you. If you don't want to take medication, worry about it later, go talk to the doctor. Please fucking go talk to the doctor and figure it out from there. But you are going to gain nothing by not making any movement. I don't want to see any more people who I could know die because they could have stopped it.
Sure.
So, yeah, that's that.
Or there's plenty of professionals you can talk to. There's hotlines out
more
there.
More lines, and there's phone numbers everywhere. And Jesus Christ, there's everything in the fucking world available to you. And I cannot blame someone. I don't hold it against them because in that moment you are at your absolute low end. But you got to think it through.
There's lots of numbers out there. There's suicide prevention where people are on call that volunteer their time, that are trained to talk to you if you feel down about whatever. Again, I'm going to go back to the text I got from what I consider one of Justin's best friends, Mark, who lives out in L.A. And again, I don't want to give away too much or whatever's too personal, but Mark didn't even know anything was wrong, and he was one of his closest friends. So that's where I guess, and this is like my dad. My dad is a sort of person where physically or emotionally, which is not healthy. If there's anything wrong with him, he'll keep it in, and he doesn't want to express it to anyone else because he doesn't want to feel like he's a burden to anyone. And I'm guessing that's what Justin was going through. He figured that everyone knows me as this happy-go-lucky guy, and I'm fighting something terrible, this terrible mental disease I'm fighting, and I don't want anyone to know about it. I don't want to burden anyone else with it, and so that's what he held it in. Unfortunately, because all it would have taken was, a conversation with me on the phone. Many of the conversations we've had, just someone at MagFest just reaching out and say, "Hey, I'm having a tough time." But Justin wasn't the type of person to say that. He wasn't the type of person to say, "Hey, I'm having a tough time."
So many choose to suffer in silence because they don't want whatever's affecting them to taint other people.
Sure.
They're and like I said, and I've been there. You don't say anything because you don't want to drag someone else down. You feel like you feel like the mere mention of talking about depression, or you can.
Yeah.
Like the mere mention of talking about depression is like communicating a disease.
Sure. Like I said, there's a stigma attached to having depression.
Yes.
It's seen as a weird thing, and people don't understand mental illnesses. Unfortunately, and that's the thing. I don't know. I haven't broken down about it. I haven't cried about it. Again, like I said, I grieve differently. But what gets me is like reactions like Billy and Jay on their tribute video, when I see how other people are affected by it, that's what gets to me. When my aunt died of she had like a brain tumor and died on the operating table like 6 years ago, it didn't really affect me until I saw my cousin crying. Her daughter crying. Didn't hit me. But I look at it as it's weird. I just kind of look at it as it's a tragedy, and it's a waste. I mean, there's so much more Justin obviously could have contributed and given to us that he hadn't already. And so I don't know. I feel dejected more than anything. It's like, there was so much more he could have done. He was beloved by his fans. He had such a hardcore group of fans. Going back to that Friday night that you volunteered, and I'm laughing because it's funny how it ended up at the pub quiz, which I'd done last year. You were one of the quote unquote celebrities at one of the tables for the pub quiz. Let me cut in
on this. The thing was, I think this. Maybe you're going in the same direction, but I was there, so I'm just gonna say he asked me to be there because he was nervous about there not being a big enough turnout.
And there was a huge turnout.
So I went, and you know what the problem was? There was way too many fucking people. And it's because he's that popular. Yeah. He was one of those guys who he just, and I don't think he. I don't think it was for show. It wasn't like a. I don't think he did in the niceness he had towards his fans, but I don't think he really, and like I said, this is coming from a guy who knew him for a short period of time. I don't think he really grasped it. I don't think he really got that he had the popularity that he did, and the popularity that he had, as much as his videos, was his reputation for being so approachable.
No, I think he did it. I don't want to speculate. I think he did appreciate it, but I just think it's one of those weird things that
I'm not saying he didn't appreciate it. I just don't think he fully grasped it.
He must have, though. He must have. He had the pins. He had the what is it? The Cat Girl Army thing going on. His fans were always around. I remember the first MagFest I saw him.
No, maybe you're right.
He'd always have a group of people. But that's the whole point, is that depression, none of that shit matters.
No, it doesn't.
If you get to the point where a chemical misfires in your complicated brain and misfires, none of that shit matters.
People don't fucking get depression. It's not a thing that is changed by outside forces. Depression is an interior problem. Yeah. And it's inside. It doesn't matter if you're surrounded by fans. It doesn't matter if a plate of your favorite food is in front of you. If your favorite music is playing, none of it matters. It registers. It's just a gray wash of static noise.
Yeah. His last tweet was about our podcast.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, he was in our chat room. This is the night before he took his own life. He was in our chat room. He asked a question. A CU podcast question. I made him a moderator. He asked, Pat, how do you track your game collection? I poked fun at him because I said, hey, you should have been in the chat before. I already answered it. I re-answered it. He laughed in the chat room. I think that night he also recorded something that was released like 2 or 3 days later, or before it was released like the day he died or right after. Coincidentally, he recorded something with a guy named Game Jew who used to be on Screw Attack. He recorded it's called Two Jews Who Love Mario, and it was basically a recap of what he did and almost of his life, like what he shared. And it was like, it's like it was almost like a tribute to himself that he's saying the day before he took his own life. And so I can't picture. That's the thing. Like, how do you go from that state of mind Wednesday night where you're fine, and then within 24 hours you're gone? Again, it's something triggered it, and then that was it. And it's again, it's a shame, and again, it's just a waste. It's just that's the way, unfortunately, I'm gonna look at it for a while. If anything can be brought out of this, I talked to you about this a lot. About this is the first time something like this has happened within the YouTube community of like internet reviewers. This is the first time something like this has happened that I know about, at least. For someone as, I guess, as well known as Justin was. If there's any positive that can come from this, it's that people are talking about it. People are talking about depression, not to be ashamed of it, to seek out help. Screw Attack did a great thing. They did a live stream last Friday where they took donations for the American Association of Depression and Anxiety. They took donations for that, so people at least are talking about it. I mean, that's a positive. That's the only positive I see out of it is that people are bringing awareness to it.
Yeah, too often in the wake of a tragedy, people say there needs to be a dialogue about things, and there never is. And I just hope that
I've seen
because this is a smaller community, because that we are, let's not beat around the bush, most of us as video game players doing what we do, we have our own particular mental tics and quirks, and I just hope that the message gets across. If you need to talk, there are people out there. Even if it's a shot in the dark, there are people out there. I understand. If there is help if you need it. Justin, goodbye, guy. Let's move on.
Sure, let's do it. Justin, you were a friend. You are gone. I don't know what else to say at this point.